In this video, I'm going to use several levels adjustments to transform this image from this to this. Let's throw those adjustments away and recreate them. And that itself is a point worth making. I threw them away and I returned to the original state of the image. Adjustment layers are non-destructive and continuously editable, and you can also limit the range of the adjustment by painting on the layer mask that comes with it. So you can choose your adjustment layers here, or on the adjustments panel, or on the layer menu. Entirely your choice. But what I'm not doing is coming to the image menu adjustments, where I see many of the same options, but when applied from this menu, the changes are static and permanent. My first adjustment is going to be an auto adjustment, but before I do that, let me just say a few words about the histogram. On the left-hand side, we have the shadow areas. On the right-hand side, we have the highlight areas. And in the middle, we have the midtones. In this particular image, there's not much meaningful information in the highlight areas, which is why it looks dark and flat. If I click on the auto button to make an auto adjustment, I get what I'm given, but if I want to choose which auto algorithm is being used, I can hold Option or Alt and click on Auto. Let's just take a look at the different results we get. There is no right answer here. It depends on what you're after. The one that you think looks best is the best one to use. In my case, I want a dramatic and punchy result, so I'm going to go for find dark and light colors. But when I choose this, I notice that there's a slight color shift. The image becomes a bit cooler, a bit bluer. So I'm going to prevent that from happening by choosing Snap Neutral Midtones. I'll now come to the Select menu and choose Subject. And Photoshop very intelligently selects the bridge. With this as my active selection, I'll come and add a second levels adjustment. The histogram looks different because it's now just reflecting the pixels that are within the selection. I will get the white point slider and move that to the left to the edge of where the information ends, and the black point slider and move that to the right. Now there is a problem here. If I zoom in, you can see there are a couple of bright spots where the mask that was auto-generated by Select Subject is not quite perfect. I'm on that mask, so I will come to choose my brush tool, and with black as my foreground color, I can just paint over those spots. So if you are using this approach on an intricate selection, just watch out for that potential problem. For the third adjustment, I'll come and choose Select Sky. Get the black point slider, drag that to the right. So we make our sky much more dramatic. I might even get the midpoint slider and move that ever so slightly to the right. For the fourth adjustment, I want to brighten the foreground area, this fallen tree. Once again, come to Levels. As I do this, I'm just looking at what's happening to this area and disregarding what's happening to the rest of the image. Now I will mask out the whole of that adjustment by filling the layer mask with black. Black is currently my foreground color, so I will press Option or Alt and the backspace delete key. In my brush tool, I'll increase the size of my brush. I'm working with a soft edge brush. Tap X so that I toggle my foreground background colors and then paint in white to reveal portions of that adjustment. I'll take a similar approach for my last adjustment. I want to brighten up the focus of the image. I'll use my midpoint slider and my white point slider. I'll now come and choose my ellipse tool, one of my shape tools. I want to draw an ellipse over this area, and I want to draw it from the center point outwards. Hold down the Option or Alt key. And if I need to reposition that, I can hold down the Command or Control key and just drag it around as necessary. I now want to convert this path into a vector mask. And I should say that when I drew with the ellipse tool, I was drawing in path mode. I will hold the Command or Control key and click on Add Mask. Now I'll adjust the properties of this vector mask by increasing the feather so much that we dissolve the shape of that ellipse. The effect of that particular adjustment is this. Here is the before and here is the after. All of these changes can be refined. I can just double click on the adjustment and make further changes as necessary. They are all reversible. I can delete them and restore the image to its starting state.